Welcome to Kelowna Now. I'm Kent Mulgat, joined by Ninette Ollgaard from the Downtown Kelowna Association. Thanks so much for joining us.
And thank you for having me, Kent.
So 6 months in this role, and before that you were with Destination BC.
I was, correct, for 12 years.
So tell us what that experience did for you.
Oh, gosh. Well, I was the Director of Visitor Experiences and Industry Development, and it gave me an incredible opportunity to understand provincial government, how a Crown corporation works, the incredible impact that tourism has on our BC economy, and the diversity of our province.
Right. So it sets you up perfectly to work in this kind of a role in a community that really depends on tourism.
Correct. And again, has its own unique diversity, right? So I live down in the lush rainforest of Vancouver and Victoria, and so now I'm up here in the beautiful wine country and lakes and some desert, a little bit south from us, so yeah.
So that puts you in a unique position to tell us what Kelowna sort of seems like when you move into it, say, 6 months ago. What's the feel that you got from Kelowna as you sort of moved in?
Oh gosh, it's a very welcoming community. It's a beautiful community. I mean, it was the landscape that drew me. It was the emerging community. We're going from a medium-sized city, and we will become a very large city, dynamic city, friendly community. And I'm appreciating and enjoying the diversity of the community, and I think that's just going to continue to grow.
Right. So 6 months in, what issues are emerging for these businesses downtown when they talk to you about what's going on? What comes to the top of the list of issues that need to be dealt with?
Specifically for the downtown, the membership speaks very clearly about safety and cleanliness of the downtown. That's actually not an emergent priority. That has been an ongoing priority that remains.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is challenging the safety and cleanliness of downtown?
Again, again, not a new problem, but the entrenched community. We obviously have, as every other community, this isn't specific to Kelowna, but we have homelessness. We are deep into the opioid crisis, like every other community across this country.
So what sort of complaints or what sort of issues does that present? Sometimes it's people sleeping in the doorway of a business, right?
Correct.
And I think even right near our offices, there's been a spike in sort of petty crime, broken windows, things like this. Mm-hmm. So are people angry about it? Is there emotion attached to this issue?
Yes. Of course there's emotion. Homelessness is an incredibly complex, tragic issue. Businesses are obviously trying to earn a living, want to make a place that is comfortable and welcoming to their customers. And so, these are very challenging. It's very challenging to build a harmonious community.
Right.
Where everyone has an opportunity to live and live harmoniously and respectfully.
Right. So, lucky for all of us, there is at least some attention on this coming from City Hall. They've embarked upon this task force, Journey Home. I think you've had some involvement with the task force so far. What's your feeling going in? I think we're halfway through this process as well.
Mm-hmm. I believe we're halfway through, and I know you're going to be speaking to them later, halfway through the process of developing the strategy to attempt to achieve functional zero homelessness. I'm very optimistic. I'm very involved. You say that the city is very committed to working on this challenge. And you are absolutely correct. They are champion this.
Yeah.
But alongside that, which is also critically important to be successful, is the provincial government and the federal government.
Right.
The provincial government has clearly identified this as a top priority. The opioid crisis, homelessness, poverty reduction, etc. And the federal government is also committed to helping with the Housing First. They've set up Housing First principles that are to be carried out that do lead to building better community for all, healthy community for all.
That's starting to sound good to me because when and not having been at these meetings, it did seem when they set out their goals, it just sounded a little bit too vague. I think the number one was to develop a long-term strategy to prevent homelessness. When I think if you ask one of your members, what they'd like to see are short-term solutions to the homelessness we already have. So are we in this process dealing with things that can happen right away?
Well, I believe emergency shelters are one way to get people to not sleep in an alcove
Yeah.
overnight. If they choose to come inside, there is a place for them to come inside. There are outreach workers that connect them with mental health services, healthcare services, a myriad of support services that they need. So that is an immediate short-term goal, obviously, for the winter months.
Mm-hmm.
BC Housing, I know, is very involved throughout the province looking for housing opportunities to help individuals first become housed. So this is where I talk about the complexity of homelessness, right? It's a tragic event that occurs in cities across this country. But if you actually look deeper into that, someone doesn't wake up one morning, decide, as a lark, well, I think I'm just going to go to become homeless and sleep on the street.
No.
There is a list of tragedies that have occurred that have led to the outcome.
Right.
And so when they talk about building strategies, it is also about trying to create an environment to help support these people in looking back. Sexual abuse, physical abuse, abandonment, head injuries, brain injuries, mental health issues. I mean, the list is as long as
Mm-hmm.
as big as the problem is. So this is where this strategy comes in. I mean, this isn't a quick fix, and it takes the community to get involved to build a unique solution for Kelowna that is sustainable to the specific things that we face here in Kelowna.
Right. It is a problem that's been around for a long time. And I remember there was a spokesperson from the city of Portland, Oregon, that came up. They asked the crowd, what do you think it is that homeless people want? And people are going, I don't know, support
That's
systems,
exactly what you're going to
blankets.
say. Yeah. The
No,
same thing as we all want.
they need homes. Right?
Yes, yeah.
But
But more than that, homeless people want what we all want, right? They want to be well. They want to be happy. They want to be part of
Right.
community,
yes.
right?
But I think what we heard at that time is that people may or may not benefit from some services to help heal all of the issues that they've got, but getting a roof over the head is the perfect first start.
It is.
For some, that'll be all
Because-
you can do for them. For others, you can do a lot more, but you get
Exactly.
started with a roof.
And that's the key component. Because if you take away and you take care of the need for basic survival,
Then you have a chance.
then you have a chance. Because you now give this a person an opportunity to make a different choice. You have taken away the thing that they fight for every day is basic dignity and survival. So if you at least give them a home and they feel secure, and they're not having to run around with a cart with all their possessions in a cart. I don't know if you've seen the display that they built, the art display that they built at the museum. It's incredible. At CU Kelowna, and that was inspired by homeless people trying to look at surviving from a homeless person's perspective. It's very powerful.
Yeah. And one thing that I think that the Downtown Kelowna Association can be proud of is that you've been proactive. You see the guys in the red shirts on
The
call.
Downtown on Call,
Downtown on Call.
ambassadors, plus our clean team.
But I've seen these people interacting with the transient population downtown.
Absolutely.
And I think you have something to be proud of there.
We are incredibly proud. I'm so incredibly proud of the team. We and there's more to it than that. We have an incredible relationship with the community, both business owners and those that are less fortunate. Know them by name, offer support. They will actually sometimes, if they're in distress, come, and if they see one of my red shirt Downtown on Call people, they will actually come and ask for help. We definitely provide connection between if they're needing, an outreach worker. We will sometimes call the outreach worker if that person is in particular distress, and have the outreach worker come and assist. And we also educate them as to, the bylaws and the good neighbor law and how to live harmoniously in the community. We spend a lot of time doing that. And down at the Gospel Mission in Cornerstone, they also spend time speaking to their guests about how to live harmoniously. This isn't, it is about trying to live with dignity. And they've set up peer programs to help doing cleanup and garbage pickup and understand that they're building a community. And trying to also impart and promote pride in the community in which they've chosen to live, albeit not perhaps as comfortably as you and I.
The other thing that's happening is we see some exciting development on the horizon. A high-rise hotel at the foot of Bernard and other sort of nearby areas. That is going to add more people to the downtown mix that may also help with this. Do you see that as a positive?
Oh, very much so. One of the things that drew me to Kelowna, I very specifically wanted to move to Kelowna. One of the things that drew me to Kelowna was the vibrancy of the downtown, was the development that was coming, the economic development, the business development, the culture development. I wanted to be a part of that because I have watched that happen in Victoria. In the 20 years that I lived there, it went from something quite similar to today to now. If you go to Victoria, there's high rises, 25, 26, 28.
Right.
Lots of urban densification. There's a real feel of urban life down there. People now live, work, and play all without a vehicle in the downtown Victoria, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. There's going to be more vibrancy. There's going to be more economic development opportunities. It's going to become very alive, and this is why it's important that when we are looking to densify and build a vibrant and dynamic downtown, that we remember all the people that live in the downtown core. This is what I keep talking about, is building a healthy, vibrant, harmonious community.
So it's not just about pushing them out.
No.
You've got to deal with it.
No. Of course it's not about pushing them out.
So
it's about living, it's about creating a healthy environment for all. This is my personal opinion. And I know that's not always a popular one, and I know that's not always agreed upon, but this isn't this is my personal belief. And I think one of the things, and I think it's really important to mention, that the leadership that the City of Kelowna is taking on this issue by funding and identifying Journey Home and the task force and putting staff to that and hiring experts from across the country, I think is something that those who are perhaps not so comfortable with this topic should take great heart in. It is something, it's not being swept under the carpet, as in some other communities. It's no funding goes towards this issue, and yet they have it, and they turned a blind eye. I think the other thing that I need to say is I'm part of a group, emergency shelter team group that is formed from myself, several members of the city in the Protective and Corporate Services. It's headed up by Rob Main, the Director of Protective and Corporate Services, the Fire Department, the RCMP, Gospel Mission, John Howard Society, Journey Home, BC Housing. You've got this whole group, bylaw. You've got this whole group that in the brief time we've been meeting, we've only been actually meeting since the end of December. We meet weekly, and now we've achieved enough actions and solutions that we are actually able to move it to bi-weekly. It's very solution and action oriented. But the collaboration, the openness to talk about marrying our various mandates, right? The RCMP have a very specific mandate to protect and make sure people are following the law. Bylaw has the same, and then there's us, right? So there's various levels, but we are working so incredibly harmoniously together that any silos or any misunderstandings that might have been in there in the past in terms of communication are gone.
Right. This is sometimes a bit of a dreary topic, but it sounds like you're pretty optimistic about where we're going.
I couldn't be more optimistic. I couldn't be more proud of the steps that we're taking as a community. I'm incredibly optimistic. First of all, I would also say to you, you need to be optimistic about this topic.
I'll work on that.
Yeah. No, you do, and because that's how we're going to solve it. It needs to be beyond optimistic. There needs to be determination, and there needs to be commitment, and there needs to be enthusiasm from the community to address this properly.
Let's talk about this again in another 6 months and see where we're at, okay?
Done.
Ninette Ollgaard from the Downtown Kelowna Association. You're watching KelownaNow.com.